Hello there, I'm Colleen.
I'm Anders.
And I'm Daniel.
We're three nerds that met through our love of science fiction and fantasy storytelling. Of course, one of our favorites is George Lucas's signature achievement, Star Wars.
And if there's one thing the internet definitely doesn't have enough of, it's nerds talking about Star Wars. So here we are with yet another Star Wars podcast, where each week we discuss one of the films in the current Star Wars canon.
From the sands of Tatooine to the levels of Coruscant, we cover it all. Yet another Star Wars podcast is available wherever you get your podcast and is part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Hey there, I'm Mr. Black.
And I'm Mr. Green. And we're a couple of guys who met in a comic book store.
Together we host the Pint O' Comics podcast, where we invite listeners to join us to talk about movies, TV, comics, music, or just whatever.
Starting very soon, we'll be joining up with the fine folks at Forgotten Entertainment for a special limited series called On the QT, where we talk Tarantino.
Every week for 10 weeks, a guest will join us to chat about every Quentin Tarantino movie, from Reservoir Dogs to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So join us starting in May 2021.
On the QT is available wherever you download your podcasts and is part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Do you happen to have a chance cube?
I don't, but I do have some dice from Marvel Dice Throne. Coming soon, Marvel Dice Throne is a fast and fun board game for all ages. Each player selects one of 8 heroes to face off in a head-to-head battle to see who earns the right to take the throne.
Gameplay involves strategically rolling dice to activate special abilities, playing unique hero cards to manipulate results, and upgrading your hero board to power up your stats. The project is currently being crowdfunded on Kickstarter, so head there now to check out their Kickstarter exclusives and reserve your copy today. Hello there, and welcome Nerdy Knights of the Well-Rounded Table to Bohemian Geek Studies, where we take extremely dorky and terrifyingly sad dives into our favorite fandoms. I'm Colleen McMillan, Jedi Master, Rebel Scum collaborator, and holding back her tears.
And I am Pirate Jedi, Anders Drew. But no matter what rank we carry, one thing will always remain constant. Much to learn, we still have.
Oh, if only we could learn how to come back from the dead. It's fine. This season of Bohemian
I can
Geek
do that.
Studies... Yeah, right? Yeah, Akakiri can do that. That is for our Visions pod. Okay, everybody, this season of Bohemian Geek Studies, we're taking our detailed dorky dive into Star Wars Rebels. Today, we're diving into Season 4, Episodes 10 and 11, two that will personally devastate me no matter when I watch them, Jedi Night and Dume. Spelled D-U-M-E, everyone.
Yes. We have done our absolute best to scramble our signal, and we will be avoiding spoilers as best we can for the rest of Season 4, but spoiler warning for everything else in Star Wars canon. And I will throw in my usual adult content warning for those younglings. So without further ado, Colleen, let's grab our gliders and explore those holocrons of knowledge. Punch it and open up that first holocron.
Excellent. Here we go. Starting out with the Journal of the Wills, our first holocron. This is where we go over the plot, episode synopsis, and summary for this week. Whoo, here we go. I'm going to try not to cry, everyone. Jedi Night opens with Kanan meditating, watched by one of the Loth Wolves. When Ezra approaches, Kanan tells his Padawan that he must take the lead in planning to get Hera back. Adorable. Ezra protests, but Kanan is firm that his own feelings for Hera will probably cloud his judgment. He's in love, everyone. So Ezra has to be in charge, which is pretty cute. Ezra's like, okay. He's like, I can come up with something, Dad. He'll be fine with rescue Mom. At the Imperial Dome, Governor Price is torturing Hera for information because she's a bitch and we hate her. Thrawn enters and wonders about progress, to which Price replies that she hasn't started asking questions yet. She's just fucking torturing her for no reason.
Poor Hera. Fuck you, Price.
I love Hera so much, and this is just horrible. Thrawn starts to question Hera himself, taunting her with the Kalkori and the memories it represents, memories of a family line that dies with her. Thrawn leaves Price to her work. It's fine. Ezra, from his former tower, adorable, but also why are they there, can sense that Hera is in the dome, specifically Price's office. Like, good work, Ezra.
That is, and it's nice recon on their part.
Yeah.
Much more prep that usually goes into things like this.
Really, so true. I guess it's because they're rescuing Hera. Like, if we didn't have a plan, she's gonna kill us. Which, yes, she would be quite angry if you went in with no plan. The rebels resolve to build some low-tech gliders to fly into the facility since they won't appear on sensors as anything other than loath bats. They piece together the gliders and get ready to depart, which involves Kanan giving himself a haircut and a shave.
And it does not look good.
It does not look good, y'all. He's blind. No mirror in that cave also.
Yes. Meanwhile, up in orbit, Thrawn gets a summons from Grand Moff Tarkin to go to Coruscant and have a meeting with the Emperor himself regarding the TIE Defender program and its funding, as Director Krennic is pushing more funds for his project, Project Stardust. Thrawn knows that he has to go, so he signals to Price that he is leaving and departs. So Kanan, Sabine, and Ezra manage to glide in undetected, even by Rook. They land. Ezra and Sabine kind of race off into the building to help secure their exit strategy, and Kanan climbs down outside the building down to Price's office, where Hera
Impossible's the shit out of that.
He really does. Where Hera is still being interrogated. Price decides that she needs to step things up and use the Imperial Mind Probe on her, so Hera gets injected with Truth Serum. But again, it doesn't appear to work. Frustrated, Price leaves. Hera notices Kanan crawling outside the window and just starts like giggling. It's like, dude, you guards are in trouble now.
Oh, screw it.
And Kanan cuts his way through the floor. I thought he was going to do the window. And takes out the guards. Hera is very loopy. She is just out of it. And tells Kanan she doesn't like his hair.
Yeah.
Speaking for all of us. So Kanan reveals he also has retrieved the Kalikori for her. And they begin the climb back up to the gliders. But this time, Rook has noticed and is following.
I hate him too, everyone. At least on Rebels, I hate him. Back at the gliders, Hera and Kanan are on the verge of a moment, but Rook interrupts. In the fight, Kanan loses his lightsaber, and they're joined by some death troopers that Hera manages to blast away. Like, good job, Hera. Yeah. You're high as fuck, and yet you're still really great in conflict. They escape on one of the gliders. Once again, Hera is high, everyone, and she is piloting this thing, radioing to Sabine that they'll need a pickup at the fuel depot. Ezra and Sabine take control of one of the Imperial ships on the way to take out the rebels and arrive to pick up Kanan and Hera. Hera tells Kanan she loves him as they make for the ship, but Price orders her walker to target the fuel pod. Unacceptable, everyone. This moment is just not okay. Every single rewatch, I know it's coming, and still I watch it and I'm like, oh God. Hoping that it won't happen again. All right, Kanan uses the Force to hold back the explosion that is triggered by Price firing on them and pushes Hera onto the ship with Ezra and Sabine, his eyes healing themselves just before they lose sight of each other, and the blast consumes him, and I'm crying. It's fine.
I will say, this is, it does not take much for a TV show, a movie, a book, like anything, for tears to kind of well up in my eyes. But this is one of the only times that they actually kind of start to flow, that like they break and start.
They break the water line.
They break the water line and start coming down. It is rough.
It's so bad. I'm worse in the next episode.
Picking up the next episode, Dume, right where we left off. A trooper is informing Price that it looks like the rebel ship managed to get away, but they can confirm via surveillance footage that the blast killed the Jedi, Kanan Jarrus. Unfortunately, the explosion took out their entire fuel supply, which they need for those factories, to manufacture things like the TIE Defenders that Thrawn is so keen on.
Whoopsies.
The factories that they want to keep running, despite the fact that the rebels have been trying to shut them down. They now must shut them down because they have no fuel. Price declares instead that they will hold a victory parade to show off this incredible victory over this Jedi.
Yeah, what a bitch. I'm sorry.
Zeb and Chopper welcome back Ezra, Sabine, and the rescued Hera, but they receive the news about Kanan, and it's just this is another tough moment. Zeb does not know what to say. He like kind of can't believe it, and then it sinks in. So he and Ezra embrace while Chopper zips right up to Hera, reaches out his little claw and takes her hand and just holds her.
And she holds it back.
They get back to the cliffside base, and Ryder is listening to some Imperial broadcast notes about the parade. The rebels are kind of at a bit of a loss. They know Mon Mothma is not going to commit more resources to Lothal, especially not after the losing Kanan. And Hera doesn't really know what to do. She can't focus on that right now, amidst all of her grief. Zeb and Sabine kind of decide they need to cause some trouble for the Empire. Like they need to go hit something to blow off some of that steam. And Ezra is just kind of sitting there lost. He eventually gets chased by a few Loth wolves out into the grass.
Now we're back to the Imperial Dome, where Thrawn contacts and chastises Price for trying to cover up the fact that she destroyed all of their fuel, thereby halting his TIE Defender program. This is basically what the rebels wanted to do, and she achieved it for them. So I guess the one thing we can thank you for, Price, is destroying the fuel depot. He tells Rook that with Kanan dead, the rebels will fall apart and be reckless. Rook leaves, and Thrawn promises to deal with Price later. For the Empire, we all know what that means, everyone. Hera is back in the caves, distraught as she laments not telling Kanan sooner how she really felt and all the time they could have had together. Chopper like holds out the Kalikori. It's like, so he's like your family, and Hera decides that no one deserves to be added to it more than Kanan does. Then we get back to Seb and Sabine. I love when these two are paired together. I think this is a nice little moment away from all the sadness. Like, yes, somebody is feeling angry about this, and it would be these two. They're observing the Imperial celebrations and notice that the factories are all shut down. Like, even if there was a parade, they wouldn't shut down the factories. They just would not do that. The Empire doesn't give days off, Sabine.
Yeah.
Fair. At the same time, Ezra is lost in the night after being chased by the wolves. He defeatedly recites his poem, Loth Rat, Loth Cat, Loth Roth Run, pick a pack and all's done. Like, this is fine. Both of the times he uses this, by the way, he is without Kanan. So just hits home even harder. Zeb and Sabine manage to set off an explosion, watching from a distance. When they notice Rook coming towards them, whoopsies, they decide to take the assassin head on. Maybe not the best choice, but we're going to try. Ezra awakens surrounded by Loth wolves, including one who is enormous, huge.
Yes.
This is like elephant or bigger sized Loth wolf, who identifies itself as Dume.
So we go back. Zeb and Sabine fight Rook, made kind of more complicated by the fact that he now has a personal camouflage generator, so he's straight up the predator. Sabine gets around that.
Predator. He's fun-sized predator.
He's fun-sized predator. Yes. Sabine gets around it at first by using her kind of thermal vision, but when she loses her helmet, she detonates a paint bomb to cover him. And that lets Zed get the upper hand, and he just goes to town and is beating the crap out of Rook, almost killing him before Sabine pulls him back, noting that they are better than that. They don't kill prisoners like that. I mean, they shoot people down all the time. They blow things up, but not
this time.
Not this time. So they decide to send a message that they are still there, that they still have some resolve. Sabine gives Rook a very colorful paint job, and they kind of just put him on a speeder bike and send him off unconscious in like a general direction where they'll probably find him.
Yeah.
Fine.
You set the homing beacon, right?
Yeah, definitely. So Ezra's trying to get answers from Dume, who eventually, one word at a time, tells him that they must continue to fight on, and they have to do it together. Also signaling that the Jedi Temple needs some help. And eventually gives the boy a stone from the temple with these 3 hands on it. He tells Ezra he must restore the past, and redeem the future. Ezra then kind of wakes up out of this crazy dream vision thing and knows how to get back to base camp. The episode ends. Hera places the updated Calicori on the altar right where Kanan was meditating at the start of Jedi Night, or where he cut his hair, back in the caves. And everyone kind of starts coming back. Sabine tells Hera that Kanan didn't just sacrifice himself, he completed their mission. The entire Imperial factory system has been shut down. When they start to think about what to do next, Ezra comes back and says that their next job is to help the temple. End of Dume. All right, let's roll right into it, Colleen. We're going to open up our second holocron. This is the Will of the Force, where we explore the theme or themes of today's episodes.
I can talk. Everything's fine. Okay, episode 10, Jedi Night. Our theme is sacrifice. We basically learn here what the wolves were trying to tell Kanan last episode. His time was coming to an end. I don't think they gave him an end point, but something was going to happen, and he was needed for this cause, needed by the Force. This is no longer about the small rebellion. Kanan is part of the bigger picture, like really bigger picture of the Force, and his action helped this cause, and he saved all of his loved ones. Hera, Ezra, Sabine, and I think it's a choice he would make every single time.
Every time, without hesitation.
And he does. It's that image of him holding the fire and holding with one hand, everyone, and holding Hera back with the other, and he's still able to like push her back onto the ship and push the ship away. It's incredible. It is an amazing sequence. It breaks my heart every time. But this is Kanan, who he is, who he would want to be. Even though he's very young when he dies, this is still a really beautiful moment between a Jedi who is not supposed to love and all of his loved ones.
Yes.
Like Zeb isn't there, which is so sad that Zeb isn't there for this.
I thought that was a really weird choice. Like, I understand that you want the shot next episode of them discovering, but like, why wouldn't Zeb and Chopper be? Well, Chopper maybe because he can't ride on the glider, but why wouldn't Zeb be in on this?
He might either be too heavy for the glider, or they're worried about his scent. Like Rook picking up on him. That's the only thing I could think of, because I too was like, why wouldn't you bring Zeb? He's your muscle. But he also couldn't infiltrate as easily either. So it's like, damn it, poor Zeb gets left out of everything. Our poor baby. He'll have more to do later, we promise. For episode 11, Dume, our theme is loss and grief. This is like a masterclass in the evolving nature of grief. Each of the characters exhibit grief in a different way in this episode, which is really cool to see. Ezra, of course, is like lost. He's just lost. Hera is devastated, like she's consumed by her grief and really can't talk to anyone. Zeb is confused at first, but then he locks in on Sabine's let's go get some angry revenge energy real quick, which is kind of cool to see. Like, Zeb at first wasn't like, yeah, let's go pay them back. He doesn't really understand or get what's going on, and then Sabine's like, no, we're gonna go fuck him up, and he's like, okay. That sounds good. I do like that they're able to kind of move into the next phase at the end. Like, their grief isn't gone, though. It's not going to disappear. Light spoiler, we will be dealing with this. Like, Rebels doesn't just throw away the grief and the remorse, the guilt that these characters are feeling. It will reverberate. So don't worry about that. It's not just going to be like, oh, poof, everything's better. No, it is not better. But they also have a job to do. Like, as much as I was really angry with Ryder and how he reacted, I know why he did. Because they still have to help protect all of these people who are with their cell. And that's what Ryder, he was the governor of Lothal. He's thinking of bigger picture, saving the planet, keeping his people safe. And he knows that he needs Hera really to do that. And to a lesser extent, like Ezra and Sabine and Zeb also, like, they're a crew, but he really needs Hera to be their leader.
Yeah.
And she just can't right now. It's like, no, of course she can't right now.
Oh.
We need time. Time's just
even a little bit.
Don't have. Yeah, just even like a day. Like, give her a day to process and kind of at least move into the next phase of her grieving process.
Yeah. Next up, our series theme. I mean, we would normally be on the chosen family here. We kind of just hit on that with how all the different characters are hitting their loss and grief. So our series theme that Kanan's been giving this message to us the entire time. How we fight matters. He's been telling Ezra this throughout the entire series. Jedi fight, but how you choose to fight is just as important. It spills over this theme, Sabine and Zeb during Dume, when Zeb is about to kill Rook, and Sabine's like, we're so much better than that. Like we don't kill out of vengeance. It's not how they do. I mean, I don't know how many people died in the explosion that they just set, but
right. It's good for the story, like especially if you have a lot of kids watching. It's good for them to be like, no, let's not murder a character directly on screen though by like beating his face in. Probably
a good choice.
But yeah, we would have killed him because he is an enemy agent who is very dangerous.
Yes, but like I said, vengeance killing isn't their way, and that could lead them to problems later if they had. And then Dume the Wolf tells Ezra that he needs to keep fighting, but Ezra is like, how do we keep going? And the answer is together. Emphasizing Ezra is not alone. None of them are. They have friends, they have comrades they can lean on. Even though Kanan's gone, he's still going to be with them. And they're all still going to do this together.
Yes. Unlike the Jedi who are like, no, fuck. Oh my god, yes. I do love how the animated series really pushed this point home. Like, no, connections are what save you.
Yes.
I love that part. Which we're going to talk about more in our next holocron. Okay, so we're going into our third holocron, the Galaxy's Populace. This is where we explore the characters and relationship covered in today's episode. We do have a lot today. There's a lot to discuss because a lot freaking happens.
Yes.
And so a lot is happening. I'm going to start off with something a little more minor with Thrawn. If you read the Thrawn canon books, this is where things get a little interesting between the characterization of Thrawn between the show and the novels. In Thrawn Treason, you're like actively rooting for Thrawn to win. For real. Like, you want him to win in this novel that is set between episodes of Rebels. Like, this is the same character and you actually want him to succeed. He shows his more compassionate side in the novel, but is still ruthless when it comes to his enemies, just not in the same way. I especially have a hard time sometimes with Rebels Thrawn because it's very one-sided. It's not like Zahn's creation as much. He's very cold, but in the context of the show, it makes sense. He's supposed to be the chief villain. He is supposed to be chilling and scary.
Right, he's the chief what, Colleen?
Villain.
Thrawn is the what?
Of this story, Thrawn is supposed to be the villain. Although I think Price is more villainous, but we're going to talk about her later. His chat with Hera, though, is really chilling. He's not an arc thief, though, in the books. I think this is his way of getting under her skin and trying to break her because that's his job. I don't think normally he would just like go into some place and take art. That's just not his jam. He usually has like holograms of shit, not the actual things. But we're not looking for quite as deep of a characterization for Thrawn in the show. Like, he has a job to play. That is what he's doing. And it makes sense for the viewer to think of him more as like an Imperial cog in the machine.
All right, so
I'm
next
so
up,
sorry I gave you this one.
no, it's okay. It's okay. So next up, it's Kanan. I mean, these are Kanan's episodes. He gets the focus on him for pretty much all of Jedi Night. And his spirit, his presence is all over Dume.
Yeah.
The mere memory is haunting to all of the characters in different ways. You know, we talked about sacrifice earlier. Watching this episode for maybe like the 7th, 8th, 10th, 20th time. I don't know how many times Colleen has seen this.
A lot.
But really, it does bring home that Kanan was ready to die for his family, even though he didn't necessarily want to go. Kanan's eyes coming back there is actually, it was an accident.
Yes,
It was accident, which is wild.
Yeah.
So Dave Filoni sketched Kanan kind of in this scene and accidentally just like didn't blur out his eyes. He just had them back. So that's kind of what they were animating. And he was like, you know what? That works. I like it. I will say it's a beautiful shot too. The healing of the eyes is so well done.
It's
And that
gorgeous.
and in the end, Kanan and Hera are able to see each other one last time. So Kanan's last words to Ezra and Sabine are, "May the Force be with you." And on this pod, we absolutely ride for the idea that this is Star Wars code for "I love you." So it is the perfect send-off for him and the kids.
I just every single time I'm like, oh, it's fine. Okay, so talking about Hera is probably gonna make me tear up too. So talking about anyone in this episode really is gonna do that. But drugged up Hera gives us a little bit of comedic relief. She is a better shot than a stormtrooper when
She's
she's
better
high.
than the Death Troopers when she's stoned.
Wild. Hera is just amazing. She shows off her strength, her resilience in these episodes. She doesn't cave into Thrawn or Price's intimidation. She's like, no, fuck you. I'm not gonna tell you anything. She's a force to be reckoned with. But then the shot of Chopper reaching for her hand is one of the best and most emotional of the series, if not in Star Wars completely. Like, we finally get to see Hera getting emotional and not in control. Like, Hera is big on being in control. And in this episode, we finally get her like down. She actually is down in these. I'm like, it's fine. Okay, next I'm going to talk about Kanan and Hera. This for me is the most devastating part of Star Wars. All of it. Every single part of Star Wars, this devastates me the most. I hate that it had to happen to Kanan and Hera. Like, even later in the timeline, Hera is in the Alphabet Squadron books, and she flashes back to Kanan and her memories of him and how much she wishes that he was still with her. And I'm just reading those books in her POV is just wild, because she's still a general and still fighting, and she's just like, where's my Jedi boo though? I want him back. And like, she finally said I love you out loud in these episodes, but was then torn away from him immediately. We think here that they've had a close relationship for a while.
Yeah.
Like, basically the entire time they've had some sort of relationship going on, whether it was out and about or not. I think it was reciprocal on both ends. Like, they both love each other. They're there for each other. But Kanan was like, it's okay. I know where your head's at. I know you. I understand you. He knew where her focus was, and he respected that. He didn't push too hard, except near the end of, like, this season started and he started pushing. And
yeah.
I will give my theories for that at the end of end of the entire pod. I will give my theories on that. Their love story may have ended tragically, but it's super nuanced, healthy. This is a healthy Star Wars relationship.
So of course it ends tragically.
Yeah, of course, which we do not get in Star Wars very often. All of the relationships are some sort of tattered remnants of what they could be. I love that they like listen to each other. They were a good team, always there for each other. And even though Hera thinks that she didn't say enough, I think Kanan knew.
Oh,
that she loved
absolutely.
him. Absolutely knew. And his every action proved that he loved her as well. And like, I think that he told her, I think they told each other in differing ways how much they loved each other. And that's why this is so fucking Okay.
All right.
Next.
Not just sad for them, but Ezra. Oh, poor sweet Ezra. He loses not only his teacher, not only his mentor, his master, his father, a real father figure.
Yeah.
I mean, in Star Wars, we have a lot of Padawans lose their masters. It's a trope in all of sci-fi, all of fantasy, that the wise old master dies, and that's when you have to step up. But this might just be the most devastating. This is much worse than Obi-Wan on the Death Star. No offense to the original trilogy, but this hits a little harder.
Ezra's been with him for like 4 years.
Yeah. Without Kanan, Ezra, he kind of becomes unmoored. He's not sure what he should do.
Yeah.
The wolves can sense his fear, and that's kind of what prompts them to attack. trying to just kind of jar him back into reality, back into the moment.
Yeah.
He has to carry on this mission now that Kanan's gone, and the wolves, unfortunately, just like the rest of us, like, I'm sorry, we don't have a lot of time.
Right.
We have pressing things that we have to do.
Mhm.
And Kanan would want him to move on, to lead
Yep.
specifically, which is why he had Ezra take command of that rescue mission.
Yeah.
He prepared Ezra the best he could. I mean, Kanan was not that confident in his teaching abilities, but Ezra has
Right.
come so far. And in the end, Ezra is able to kind of come to terms with the position he finds himself in and start to move forward. He picks that path.
Oh man. Yeah, he chooses his path. He doesn't just let a poem pick it for him.
Mhm.
He actually chooses it. Okay, Price, this bitch. I hate her so much, everyone.
Oh yeah, no, she's
one of my
awful.
most hated Star Wars characters just because she kills Kanan. Oh man. But her arc is actually pretty interesting. I love like seeing her scramble here politically. Like she's
Mhm.
just looking for any kind of victory. She's lost her mind a bit. Like the choice to blow up the fuel depot just to kill, even if it got all of them, that's still only 4 rebel soldiers that she would have killed by decimating the entire fuel source for their victories. Like this is a wild choice. And Thrawn is understandably a little pissed
Ron is
about this.
pissed.
Like seriously, why would you do this? And this is like the culmination of all of the failures that she has gone through seasons 3 and 4. Like this is just the buildup of you suck. We need help. We need to bring Rook in because you can't handle it. And this is her being like, no, I can handle it. I can kill these rebels. And she gets one, and a very important one, but she has failed to realize the big picture. Like the Emperor would not be happy
No.
with this situation. Like, no. Oh my God. I do like that she is basically like, I will pull myself up by my bootstraps though and have a clever idea to kind of shift people's attention away from certain things. Like she is still politically
Savvy.
savvy. Like she's trying to come back from a loss.
Unfortunately for her, Thrawn sucks at reading politics. So he just sees the plain text.
Yeah, Thrawn doesn't care about a parade. He's like, fuck your parade. You have basically derailed my entire project.
Yeah.
Especially when he just spent an entire novel fighting for funding for his project.
Oh,
please, everyone, read the Thrawn canon trilogy.
Yes. All right, next up we have Sabine. So Sabine's grief at Kanan's move it goes right into anger. She is not happy. She is mad, and she plans on disrupting this parade.
Yeah.
But she gets to the point where she can restrain herself as they get closer to the city.
Yeah.
I'll notice that something's just a little off. That inquisitive mind she has, that strategist that she actually is, really kind of takes control, and they decide against ultimately attacking the parade and just focus on the fact that Kanan completed their mission. The factories are done. They've shut down. Which is what they've been trying to do for years.
The whole time. I do kind of like that it's Zeb who points this out. Like Sabine is still kind of like, maybe we should attack, but she's still holding back a little. Like they get there and she's like, maybe that's not the best idea. And then Zeb's like, but look. And having Zeb be the one to be like, look at the bigger picture is wild.
Yeah.
Like I do love that about him. We haven't had a lot of Zeb recently. He sits out the mission to rescue Hera. He does play his part, though. He gets the gliders in the air. But we get so many good moments here with him and Sabine. I love their pairing. I think they're adorable together. We also get some of his grieving process, wanting to inflict some cathartic pain. Like for real, he wants to punch it out. And we get some comic moments, his fear of Rook's creepy eyes. That makes me like, what?
He's looking at me.
Yeah, he saw me. And she's like, he saw you?
I don't know. He's got creepy eyes.
I don't want to look. And he makes Sabine look. I do like how that balances these episodes out. Even like Jedi Night had comedic moments to kind of soften the blow of what was coming, even though you could kind of tell narratively where it was building to. And then with this episode, it's like this could have been an entire grief fest, but they still try to be true to the characters because Zeb would be this kind of comedic force.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. And I love that he's with Sabine because then he can temper her anger. But then she tempers his anger when he finally gets a hold of something that he can punch. They're very balanced, which I really enjoyed. Seeing a relationship like this. Like, yes, we haven't seen it in forever, but finally we get some of them together.
Absolutely. All right, so next we're going to move into our fourth holocron. This is Binding the Galaxy Together. This is where we go over the homages, Easter eggs, connections, callbacks throughout these episodes. So I'm going to start us off with the torturing. That torture table should look pretty familiar. We've seen Han on it. We've seen Leia interact with the mind probe droid. We've seen Rey on the torture table. We've seen Poe be tortured. A lot of torture going on in Star Wars. Lucky for us, most of our people seem pretty resilient to these techniques for the Empire and the First Order.
Yes.
You would think that they would have better interrogation techniques by now, but no.
Right? Vader's like, they're unusually strong with the Force. Every one of them. Son of a bitch. Oh my God. Okay. Speaking of a son of a bitch, next we have Krennic and Project Stardust. Rebel Season 4 kind of dovetails with Thrawn Treason, the novel, where Krennic shows up to give Thrawn a hard time. Seriously. He shows up and he's like, yeah, you may be a Grand Admiral, but I'm Krennic and I have a cape, and that's amazing. And seriously, that is like one thing that his subordinate, who he sends freaking Thrawn, like he sends his subordinate Ronan with to spy on Thrawn and make sure Thrawn's mission fails. This guy's also like, I also have a sweet cape because Krennic has a cape and we look great.
We love our capes.
I do wish that Krennic had been on Rebels just because of this scene from Thrawn Treason. Like, give it to us, you cowards.
I want some kind of like a prequel, like a short or something that just shows Krennic being like out and about on Coruscant, and he stumbles across like Lando at a casino or something and sees the cape and it's just like, that's a good idea. And that's why he's obsessed with capes.
Good Lord, that makes so much sense. No one can pull them off but freaking Lando, though. We should know better. Doesn't have the sexual charisma. Just isn't going to work. Okay, next. Dangerous. What could be dangerous about Lothal? Not as dangerous as those Lothcats. Our intrepid Imperial soldiers who chased the Lothcats in one of our last episodes are here, and these are like the most incompetent people we've ever met. They're like, oh, it's just Lothbats. Nothing to see here, folks. I do like that Ezra's connection with animals of Lothal is coming out even more as the season reaches its end. Not only should they be wary of Lothcats, but the Jedi that are connected with them. And maybe we should be worrying about other fauna of the planet, like these enormous wolves, maybe. Although most people think they're a myth, so they're probably not quite as nervous about wolves.
Yeah, it's all right. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Next up, we have a little bit of foreshadowing. So this is actually like a foreshadowing Easter egg. While Kanan is meditating during Jedi Night, we hear a lot of things going on. And one of the things is we hear Ezra say, "You didn't prepare me for this, Kanan." This is the line that Ezra utters the following episode in Dume when he's kind of in his distraught period, showing us that Kanan, at least in part, knew where his fate was going.
Oh my God. Why?
And then we have the Kalikori. Hera adds Kanan to this family heirloom that's shown up a few times throughout the series, making him part of her family forever. Thrawn also hints about Hera's brother, who we still don't really know much about. We've seen Hera as a pretty young child now during Bad Batch, and her brother is still already not there. This next one, I'm wondering if it was a little bit of an homage. Kanan holding back the fire, to me, just reminded me so much of Jean Grey in X2 at the end when she's holding back the water, and her transition to the Phoenix that they then bungled in the next movie, and then again several movies later.
Yeah. What movies?
Either way, though, Kanan's showing an incredible amount of power here.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about how strong an explosion like that would be, the fact that he's just like holding it back one-handed is nothing short of miraculous. We've known for a while that Kanan's really strong in the Force, but we hadn't realized he was really up there with some of the absolute greats.
Yeah.
No doubt the power of his emotional connections is in fact fueling him just as much as the Force is.
Mhm.
And then we also do get to see that vision clear. And one last time he gets to look at Hera with his own eyes before surrendering himself to fate.
The promise made in season 2 has finally come to fruition. We
Yes.
will see each other again.
Mhm.
Hey, Filoni, you monster. We love you, but also you're horrible. Oh, next we have Lothrat, Lothcat, Lothwolf, Run, Pick a Peck, and Almost Done. Ezra's spoken this rhyme before. We have heard him say this back in season 1. And now he's still stuck between paths, unsure what he should do next. And this, when he says this is like really when the wolves are like, my dude,
Mhm.
we need to have a conversation. Very limited because of our vocabulary, but also we need to talk.
Yes. For more on that poem, again, check out our series on Ezra Bridger, where Colleen used this poem as a thesis for a very, very well-written essay and approximately 7.5 hours of podcasting.
Long, everyone.
It's 4 parts.
I didn't mean for the essay to get that long. It just happened.
And next up, once again, we have the large wolf Dume,
Mhm.
which is, again, Kanan's name. And he also has that white symbol on his forehead, which matches with Kanan's shoulder armor.
Mhm. Yep. Looked. When I first saw that, I was like, oh, yeah. More to come in later episodes on Kanan, Caleb, everything.
Yes.
Next, we have the Jedi Temple. In addition to the cave paintings back at base, the Wolves gives Ezra a stone tablet directly from the Lothal Jedi Temple with 3 hand symbols on it, etched in gold. We wonder what those will mean. This couldn't possibly be important.
No, absolutely not. Except, I mean, this wolf really could give Yoda a run for his money in terms of directions without clear answers, like vague nudges without actually explicitly saying much, checking all the boxes. The wolf is actually a little bit more efficient at it because even though he's speaking slowly, he's only using one-word sentences. So
I feel bad for Ezra. He's already had to deal with Yoda and the Bendu and now the wolves. It is interesting though, it only seems like Dume and the White Wolf can speak.
Yeah.
At least as far as we know.
And I think this is really, I'm trying to remember now, is this the first time we've really ever seen the wolf, like, I want to say like speak with its mouth? Does the white wolf actually speak, or do we always like, does it kind of imply that it's...
It seems more like it's mental.
Yeah.
With the White Wolf. Like he opens his mouth, but it's not, it doesn't look like it's articulated as much.
Mm-hmm.
But Dume actually speaks.
Okay.
And then last we have our little self-contained callback. Hera kneeling at the altar at the end of Dume is a mirror of Kanan doing the same at the start of Jedi Night. Bookending these episodes. Horribly, Dave Filoni. I hate you so much. But I also love you. Please keep creating Star Wars content.
Yes. All right. Well, before we move into our next Holotron, take a quick break to hear from our affiliate partner, Fiverr. Do you need a freelancer to help with your website, maybe a designer, or someone to help you write some expert articles and blogs? Or maybe you need a presentation designer to help you with a big work project. Look no further than the #1 freelance marketplace, Fiverr. You can find designers, programmers, and more within seconds, some for as low as just $5 a gig. Fiverr's the ideal tool to help you with your pressing projects. Just post your gig and search for freelancers and you're off. Don't deal with the hassle of finding freelancers on your own. Let Fiverr help you. See the link in our show notes to get started. Please note Bohemian Geek Studies is an affiliate partner of Fiverr. We may receive commissions on purchases and services you buy after you click the link. These commissions help support the growth of BGS, and we appreciate your continued support.
We're heading into our 5th holocron, the Newbie from Naboo. I feel really bad.
I was gonna say, you really should.
I feel so bad every single time someone new watches this show that I have told to watch it. They get to these episodes and are like, I hate you. Why is my life? Fuck everything. And I'm like, that's fair. That's about where I was too.
Yeah.
So this is Flo's first time watching Rebels. Her first time watching Jedi Night. And yeah, so we've tasked her with watching these episodes. I'm very sorry once again to give us her questions and her takes. So while we try not to cry, let's find out what our ambassador for Naboo thought about today's episodes, starting with Jedi Night.
Okay. So I'm going to kick this off with I told you so, and I'm very proud of your poker faces. Those were impressive poker faces last week. I'm very, very proud.
You have no idea how long we've been holding these poker faces.
Oh, I bet. So thank you for that. So I'm going to start off by being honest, which is not that I saw spoilers or anything, because I did not. But my truth, I did not cry. Yeah. I did not cry. I saw this coming from a mile away. And so I was like, okay, here we go. All right, so let's run through this episode. I'm going to start by doing an overall thing from this episode is that the score was very strange. It felt like, why are you looking at me like that?
No, I agree with you. Actually, this was going to be one of my points for later. So we can get into it now.
Great. So this score felt very Disney. And I wrote that over and over and over again in my bullets. I was just like, this doesn't sound like Star Wars. It was very strange and I can't quite pinpoint it. But just starting from that very first scene, we see Kanan meditating with the wolf and the score is weird. And I was like, this is it. It's going to happen. Like, I'm not even tripping.
So I think what you're picking up on is, at least the way I kind of saw it, especially going into this, having watched this episode a few times. Yeah, right at the beginning, it sounds like it's supposed to have a lighter feel, like it's supposed to be a little bit more lyrical, but it still feels really like ominous and makes you nervous. It's still got this like softness that makes you worried.
Well, you're almost worried because it's supposed to be so light. And you're like, nothing in Star Wars is ever this light. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And there's that feel throughout the episode, and we'll get into this, but there was so much good, like good. Oh my God, it's so bad.
Yeah. The music kind of during the breakout felt a little bit more like normal, like, okay, we're into an action episode. This is moving. And then it's so quiet. It's so serene, and it ends with nothing.
That choral music at the end is like, oh my God. Oh, very like they're almost going towards the Duel of Fates thing, but sad.
So right away, Kanan tells Ezra that he's gonna take the lead on this Hera rescue because he's not thinking clearly because he loves her. And this right there, like first minute of the episode, you're like, Kanan is passing the torch. He is going to die. Like this, like it was so, and it's been obvious to me for the past couple episodes, but this one I was like, we're done. You're done. It was a super intense start, like we just talked about. Then, like right after that, we see Hera being tortured, which is like, don't ever show me that.
Yeah.
No.
Fuck Price. I hate her.
Yeah, especially when she's like, you have a lovely voice. Seriously, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Price. We see Thrawn. He taunts Hera with the heirloom, right? The like
Calicori.
Which is actually very out of character for him. It makes me feel weird watching that scene after reading all the books, because he taunts people, but not like that. But maybe he thought that was the only way Hera would break, so that's why he did it. But he's not really like that.
Well, it didn't work. She didn't give up anything. We learn a smidge about her brother.
Yeah.
Which was kind of interesting. I just wrote "fuck you, Thrawn." So my next note. This is like, so decide they're going to make these gliders, right, to look like loaf bats.
Yeah.
And right then, it's like Sabine and Zeb, I think. And I wrote it right here. It says weird, very Disney soundtrack. So there's like a weird swell there where it was like, okay, I don't know. It was just so weird. Then we get a montage. So we get Sabine and Zeb and Ezra building these faux loaf bats. And we get Kanan like meditating, cutting his hair, shaving. I can't.
See, for me, that was the instant. That was the moment. Like, you're right. It's been broadcast through the last several episodes. They're obviously building to it. The second he cuts his hair, I'm like, oh, he's done.
Yeah, he's done. Well, and I'm sorry, but he looks so bad.
Yeah.
He did have a mirror.
It's a no from me. Yeah, no.
Our friend Sloan agrees with you. A lot.
It was just really bad. I did not like it. I loved the shot of Chop pulling the gliders. That was so cool. The sky looked beautiful. It was just like, it was like one of those like music swelling moments. It was just awesome. It was so, so cool. We get a Krennic mention right after that. Tarkin is talking to Thrawn. He's like, Krennic is trying to get his project funded. Like, we want to make sure your project gets funded. Blah, blah, blah. Just, Imperial shit.
Yeah.
The troopers like start talking about loaf bats and don't even notice anything. That was pretty funny. And like, we knew for sure, like, if you didn't know it before, if the previous episodes didn't tell you, if the hair didn't tell you, if the passing the baton to Ezra didn't tell you, Kanan looking at Sabine and Ezra and saying, may the force be with you. I wrote, may the force be with you. Oh, you're dead.
Yes.
Like, come on. Then they pull out the probe droid and they shoot Hera up with the truth serum, happy juice. And she sees Kanan and he's coming to save her. And
so good.
So good. And she's like, y'all don't stand a chance. And also, like, she's drunk off her ass. It was hilarious.
Kanan's here.
Yeah, Kanan's here. The Star Wars theme swells. It's wild shit. Kanan is such a G. He like fights them so well. It's just like, he gets her out. He's so cool. I love how he refers to it. You're in a special mood. I was like, ah!
Like, oh, he's seen her high before. So this...
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, girl, you are wild right now. So, okay, I didn't write this in my notes, but Kanan knew he was going to die, right?
That is up for debate.
Okay.
Well, we're going to talk about it a little bit later about how Filoni feels about.
Okay, so I'll hold off. But in my opinion, he does. Anyways, we'll come back to it later. Hera can say nothing but I hate your hair. We're all with you, Hera. We are of one mind.
Amazing. Fantastic. The line reading, so good.
So good. So dry. Amazing. She's very excited that he got her Calicori back. She's like,
mine.
wow. And then she's like, this isn't really a present because it's mine. So good. Like, okay.
Kanan, this is mine.
This is mine. Rook is the worst, and I hate him. And we'll get to this in a later episode, but Zeb should have killed him 1,000,000%.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, don't even fight with me.
No,
on this,
I'm with you on this one.
Okay.
I don't understand that decision from Sabine.
Okay, we'll get there when we get there, but
So dangerous, and they let him go.
Right. Okay, we'll get there. Sorry, I cut way ahead because I hate him so much. Hera is the best drunk. She's amazing. I'm obsessed with her. She's like so lovey-dovey. It's great. Then they look at the gliders and Kanan goes, the kids came up with that one. And I'm just like, y'all are too much for me. And I feel like they did such an intense job of like cranking up the cute, crank up the cute, crank up the cute, and he's dead.
Yeah.
Okay. Hera sobered up real quick when they started shooting at them.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Kanan has no more saber. which is like, okay, you're done.
Yeah.
When they crash and Kanan goes, one of your better crashes, and they start arguing over crashing. Again, they gave us so many amazing moments in this episode.
Mhm.
I swear to God, I wrote all this down before I finished the episode. I wrote, fuel depot makes me nervous. Explosions, question mark.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so obvious. Like they really they spoon fed it to me, right? Then Hera says, I love you. And he's like, this is the truth serum. And she's like, no, this is all me. And I'm just like,
Yeah, I was gonna say, if there was a point that might make Flo cry, I don't think it was gonna be Kanan dying. It would have been that.
On the
totally. I
rewatch,
shrieked.
if you ever rewatch that, then you might cry, because I cry
I might.
much harder now than the first time I watched it.
It was so great. And then they kiss, and it's like the best kiss, and it's just like amazing because like they're gonna die. It's like, it's like Jack and Rose when you like know that Jack is gonna freaking drown, and it's just like you just have this like one moment in time frozen forever. Oh God, it's so great.
Mhm.
I wrote, I got a bad feeling. Then the at comes,
Mhm.
and then I just wrote, fuck. Kanan was protecting everyone he loved. This is exactly what he's always wanted to do, I think.
Mhm.
This is who he is. Like, this is the way that he was supposed to go. I think this is how he wanted to go. I don't think there was any other way that he would have wanted to.
Mhm.
I do have a question here.
Okay.
In that final moment, I feel like his eyes look different. Could
Yes.
he see?
Yes.
Yes,
They healed.
Yeah. Okay, I was so happy about that.
that was a mistake. Dave
Oh, shut up!
Filoni did a sketch and he accidentally added Kanan's eyes in, and then he decided to keep it.
Oh my God, I thought it was beautiful. It
It's
was
so
almost
good.
like
Good.
in dying, like the Force healed him, like for this like one moment before he
Yeah.
became the Force. Oh,
Yeah. He
oh,
was so one with the Force that his body was like incredible, basically, because
it was
we've never
amazing.
seen Kanan be this powerful. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, he was holding back fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
And
was
when he
crazy.
tried to hold Hera back, the ground splits a little bit from his standing
Damn.
position. It's like, God, this is so cool. Looks
It was
If you-
very cool.
Mhm. But
It's so good.
I've had wine everyone, so I will probably cry at some point. It's fine.
And then my last note on this episode, because I always have to be right, I just wrote, I called this, all
Yeah.
caps.
Yep. I was like, Flo, she got it.
I got it.
Flo,
I've seen Star Wars.
We've been watching you like get more invested in Kanan over the past several seasons
Yeah.
and get really invested in Hera and Kanan. And at some point, Colleen and I, after one of our recording sessions, we were texting each other. We were like, oh God, when she gets to Jedi Night.
But here's the thing, like, this is what I expect from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, there's no happy endings. Nobody gets everything they want because that's life. Like, you have to give something up.
Mhm.
And if you're going to fight in this fight, like, you know that there's going to be casualties. I will say, I was surprised that they took it this far in a kids show, a quote unquote kids show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty dark.
Yeah. Oh, just wait.
Yeah.
oh,
Just
pretty.
there's a lot going on in these last few episodes
Yeah, the ending of
Okay,
Rebels is
well.
insane.
for a
Insane.
TV Y7 rating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Because the movies are all PG-13, right?
Mm.
I think so.
Some of the early
Maybe
ones
not
might
the
even be
originals.
PG.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe the original trilogy might be PG, but I feel like all the newer stuff, even prequels, would have been PG-13, right?
Yeah.
So this feels like a lot.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
okay. Anyways, I was
I
surprised.
mean, this is
Great episode.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The ending when the screen is white,
Yeah.
it hits so hard on rewatching. That's usually when I start crying, is when the screen
And
goes white.
silence.
and
I
the
mean,
silence.
it was it reminded me a lot of Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
Like on Game of Thrones, where main character dies, and then there were some episodes where we got silence.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was
Mhm.
intense. So anyways, yeah, loved it. Okay, shall we move on to the next episode?
Yes.
Doom.
Doom.
God, okay. Episode 11, Doom. My first note says, fuck you, Price.
Yes.
Strong start.
Fucking hate her so much.
Yeah, so she calls for a parade, which is partially to celebrate Kanan's death and also partially to hide the fact that they are fucked.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they have no more fuel to fuel the factories.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, if I was going to cry at any moment in these 3 episodes, there was a moment right here where the camera pans to Zeb and he sees the ship coming in and he looks so happy and hopeful. And you already know that Kanan is not stepping off that ship. Paulina's crying already. I will say, to me, that was the hardest moment. It was just like, and then Sabine like brushes past him and he's like, what happened? And it's like, we all know that feeling where it's like, you know, something has happened and nobody's telling you. And then he sees Ezra and Hera and Chop and he's like, where's Kanan? You know, like you can see it on his face. He's like, where's the last member?
Right.
And then
Where's
Ezra
Dad?
comes up, yeah, where's Dad? Ezra comes up, says Kanan's gone, and Zeb automatically is like in disbelief. He's captured, like, okay. He's like, no, Kanan's gone. And that was tough.
When they hug, I'm like,
That's not even Pinnacle.
No, Pinnacle
Chop?
comes next.
Chop coming up to Hera, taking his claw out and holding her hand. I can't. This may have moved Chop into like top droid for me.
yes.
Like, wow, that was
Hera
a
so
lot.
much.
That was a lot.
And he went right to Hera too. He did not even.
Yeah. No, he knew that like she would be, and he stayed with her. This
The
whole
whole time?
episode, he was with her.
Yep.
He was
Mhm.
not like letting her go. That was amazing. Yeah, that was- And we see like immediately that Hera is like inconsolable, in mourning, like not like kind of frozen to others, like not even seeing them.
Yeah.
very
Just like
numb.
has to be going through her own shit right now.
Right.
Then fuck you, Ryder.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, Flo is gonna be so bad.
Rattled. Okay, so Ezra is like over here sticking up for Hera. He's like, she just needs time. And what does fucking Ryder say? Not, I'm so sorry, Hera. All my condolences. Like, take the time you need. He says, we don't have time. It's like, fuck you. Where were you on this rescue mission, Ryder? Go fuck yourself.
Well, and Ezra's like, I know we don't have time, but we need something.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Mhm.
God, I was mad.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there are times in these episodes where I'm just like, what kind of LSD were these people on? And this is one of the times I am like, I'm gonna be honest, I do not like this plot line. This like Loth Wolf plot line, I'm just like, stop it. Just like cut it out. I can't. It's too much. I don't get
You
it.
don't want it to stop.
No, I do. I actually do.
It's gonna be great.
I really do. They're doing such a bad job at explaining it that it's just frustrating me. So, okay,
They
so all these
will.
wolves,
They will explain.
Somewhat.
well, they better. So all these wolves start snarling at Ezra and then run him down. And then they like fucking check him like they're at a hockey game. They like check into him. He falls down and then like gets knocked out. Okay, fine. Now he's just like in a field. Meanwhile, Price is holding Kanan's saber, and I'm like, get your fucking hands off of his lightsaber before I chop off your hand. Unbelievable. Thrawn is pissed.
Yeah.
He's like, you did all this for one Jedi, and now we have no more no more fuel for all of these TIE fighter factories. Like, you just fucked up everything.
Yep.
Okay, so that's kind of good for us though, right? Okay.
Yes.
It is.
Then we see Hera. She's sitting at the like makeshift altar that Kanan had made. She's talking to Chop. She's full of regret. She's full of guilt that she let the war go on. And basically they could have avoided it. They could have just like pieced out of the rebellion and been like, let's just go live. She pulls out the Calicori and immediately I'm like, I know exactly what she's going to do with this. And I wrote, if she adds him to it, I swear, exclamation point. Obviously she does later. It's very beautiful. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know. It's beautiful. It's kind of like, it's almost as beautiful as Anakin and Padme getting married on Naboo. It feels like very like a union of two families, of two beings who like love each other. It's just sad that like Kanan had to do this in death.
Right.
Mhm.
Like, that's, yeah,
And that's
it's
why
bad.
Hera's
Especially
so
because like,
guilty. Yeah.
right. And I think it's hard too, because if you look at Kanan versus Anakin, like Kanan was so much more open to love and to like attachment, and like understood that like these things don't make him a bad Jedi, and also like who the fuck cares? Whereas poor Anakin, like who wanted those things so badly but was so repressed and didn't know how to do them, he did get to have this union with Padme, but it was sullied by this like
Doubt.
horrible training and doubt and fear and pain, and it was just like, oh, so at least Kanan is free of that.
Yes. So speaking of just Flo, you reminded me of something I've been meaning to ask you. This has nothing to do with these episodes though, but you just mentioned Anakin and Padme's wedding. Feel free to edit this out if this goes on too far.
I'm ready.
Did you read the excerpt from Queen's Hope?
No.
No. All right. So the book's coming out in April. It's the third of E.K. Johnson's like Padme trilogy.
Okay.
And the excerpt that got released a few days ago is from Anakin and Padme's perspective, like getting ready to go out there for the wedding.
Shut the fuck up right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I need a link immediately in my text. Immediately. Like, don't press go, do not collect 200. Give them to me right now. Okay, so I'm gonna have to read these. These might be the first Star Wars novels that I read, y'all.
And they're really good.
Okay.
They are really
I'm
good. The
excited.
first one is like her kind of like training with the handmaidens,
Okay.
like right as she gets elected queen.
Mhm.
The second one is like right after she becomes a senator.
Okay.
So she has to like learn how to do this, learn how to like navigate the Senate and politics.
Yes.
And then this one is like detailing her early marriage to Anakin.
Okay, so I need to know two things. Number one, are these YA?
Yes.
Technically, they're like teen level.
So
I guess.
okay, so that
That's where
answers
they're
my
shelved.
second question.
Yeah, no,
is
there's
how
no fucking.
graphic is this going to be?
They talk about periods.
All right. Well,
Which
I
is
talk about
like,
periods
they
with my
actually talk
4-year-old.
about like
So
girl things. Like they talk about Padme as like a person,
okay.
which is really cool because she's a teenager and she's like, but
Sure.
I want to go to the rock concert though,
Right.
even though she's the
But-
queen.
Will we get wedding night scenes?
Probably. E.K. Johnson doesn't usually shy away from
Okay.
stuff.
I'm in.
That's true.
I'm in.
One
I'm
of the
all in.
handmaidens hooks up with one of the palace guard pilot
Oh
guys.
yeah.
So
Okay. Get it.
it's
Get
there.
it. Get
Like
it.
there is some sexiness, but
Well, then I'm in. I'm all in.
Okay, tangent over.
Okay. It was a good tangent though. That was a very good
Mhm.
okay. So I feel so at this point, Sabine and Zeb are pissed and they're gonna take out their anger on the parade that's happening. And I felt the whole time that they were kind of playing right into the Empire's hands. Like
Yeah.
I felt like it was pretty obvious they were gonna hit the parade in anger, not in like anything planned.
Right.
The factories are shut down, which is great, which means that Kanan like fulfilled the mission actually. Like he stopped the
Mhm.
TIE fighter project.
Yep.
We then see Ezra basically lost in Lothal. And I thought it was really funny because he's like, well, I grew up on this planet. How am I lost? It's like, well, you don't fucking know the whole planet, you dumb
Right.
fuck.
You're in the wrong hemisphere.
Like, what the hell are you talking about? So that was crazy. Then he does like eeny, meeny, miny, mo to figure out where he's going. But then he doesn't even stick with it. He's like, no. Okay, eeny, this way. And then he's like, well, no. It's like, you're lost. Just pick a way. Sabine and Zeb are basically just like terrorists, just like car bombing at this point.
Mhm.
Pretty cool. Then they see the Rook guy,
Mhm.
and Zeb is scared of him,
Yeah.
which is pretty cute actually. Then we see Ezra. I just wrote Ezra tripping balls is what I
Kind
wrote.
of.
Yes.
He's like absolutely tripping. All of a sudden he's like sliding off a mountain and there's wolves everywhere and the sky is swirling and it's just like, I don't know what you smoked on that plane, my dude, but like
The force is with him.
This is crazy shit. So the biggest Loth wolf is like, my name is Dume, right?
Mhm.
And I'm kind of like, are you Kanan? Like, are you Kanan and a wolf?
So if you look closely, you will notice that the markings on the wolf's forehead actually match Kanan's shoulder sigil on his armor.
So I feel like it looked very familiar. And then obviously he's like, I'm Dume.
Hmm.
Okay, well, too bad for Kanan because I fucking hate that wolf. Okay, and I wrote this later. Then so whatever. Ezra's tripping balls. He's with the wolves. Actually, I'll just say it now. Where did I write it? I wrote, I hate how Dume talks. Ugh. And I wrote, this is gonna be a hot take. This is worse than Bendu.
Oh my god.
Okay, at least Bendu could get out a fucking sentence.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
these wolves.
The wolves can't.
Oh my god, it's like word by word, it's like pulling teeth, and they
Yeah.
talk like they've got fucking like emphysema. It's the worst. Oh my Lanta, put them on oxygen.
They're just
was horrible.
wolves. They can't talk as well.
Well, then don't talk. Like, communicate with him through spirit. I don't know, but like, I don't want to hear it anymore. It was so annoying. So anyway, that's my hot take. Okay, then we get Rook fighting Sabine and Zeb. Did we know that Rook could be invisible? No, right?
At this point, no.
I
Okay.
did, but only because of the books.
Okay, fair. I feel like that's a weird thing that he just like pulled out of his ass. He's just like, I'm invisible. There's two of you. I'm invisible.
It's like part of his tech
Yeah.
It was
that
so
his species has.
Yeah, I didn't think it was like a natural thing. I was pretty sure it was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
tech.
No, it looked like he pressed a button on something
Yeah.
and then became invisible. But like,
Mhm.
it was so weird. Then Sabine like paintballs him
Hmm.
and it's like, you're not so invisible now. And then we get Zeb just beating the shit out of him.
Mhm.
And honestly, we pointed to this earlier in last episode, but there was no reason for Zeb to keep him alive.
No.
None. And like,
None.
what they do, they painted him up like a fucking clown and sent him on his way. Like, I understand you feel like you're sending a message, but like, fucking send his dead body back painted.
I would
Like,
do
there's
that.
no reason.
I would
Right.
do that, or I mean, if you are going to not kill him, and maybe you decide you're not going to do that. Like I said, Phil, this is one of the times that I'm agreeing with you. Like, no, like he was about to kill you. Like, you would be fine you would be justified to take him
Yeah.
out here.
100%.
Why don't they take him prisoner? Why don't they like
Yes.
cuff him
Question him.
and question him?
Yeah, it makes no sense. None of this made sense. It was so confusing. Okay, so Ezra is still tripping balls with the wolves at this point. He says that he feels lost. He misses Kanan. He misses his master, which is like weird to hear him refer to him as master because I feel like we haven't heard that in a while from him.
Right.
And you almost kind of forget that Kanan was his master because they were kind of operating as equals for a bit.
Hmm.
And then of course, like the wolf is like fear, which is like, we know where this
You can
leads,
smell it.
wolves.
Mhm.
I need you to not. Okay.
The
and
wolves
then-
also need Ezra to not.
yeah, we need Ezra to not. Then the wolves are like, hey, you know what's cool? The Rosetta Stone. So here's a large stone. Here's what I wrote about the stone. I wrote rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock. It was just like, what is happening? So anyways, they give him the stone. Ezra's like, I'm pretty sure this is from the Jedi Temple. So obviously they're going to go to the Jedi Temple. Yeah, this is what I wrote. This is worse than Bendu. Hera adds Kanan to the Kalikori. She's
Mhm.
bouncing back. She's like getting back into like, she's bouncing back a little quick. I'm not going to lie. But she's back into her Hera mode. Like, we're going to go do it. The mission, blah, blah, blah. And they're off to the Jedi Temple for God knows what. And then that takes us into the next episode, which is called Wolves and a Door.
Yep.
Okay.
You didn't watch this one, did you?
Oh, was I not supposed to?
No, you're supposed to stop there.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I watched this. I'm ready for next week.
Oh
Okay.
man, you watched it already.
Okay, so so no, next week is Wolves and a Door and the one after it.
Okay, so this is for all of y'all. Next week, watch episode 12 and 13 and find out if I liked episode 12.
Something tells
I
me
have
it's
thoughts.
a no. But we'll
I don't
find
know.
out.
Come and find out next
We will
week.
find
Why did
out.
I watch so many episodes then? Y'all should have stopped me. Text me next time. It's too much work.
Hey,
Oh,
you're
man.
already ahead.
Or you
Good.
already did notes for half of next week.
Yeah, see, look at me go. And they're beautiful. Look at that. Pink
I
and
love the
green.
color coding and the neatness. So
Thank
good.
you. So yeah, find out what I thought about
Wolves
You
and a
know,
Door.
Wolves in the door.
things I don't understand.
I think it should have been wolves at the door. I think that's
I
kind of
always think
play
it
on
is.
words they were going for.
Same
Yeah, I
thing
don't
with
know.
same things with last week. I always want to say that it's Crawler Commandos and it's
Mhm.
Crawler Commandeers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single time I'm like, what's the title again?
So anyways,
Everyone
okay,
has
let
stumped
me
me on Rebels Trivia.
give a little score for these. I would say Jedi Night gets I would say 9.5.
Mhm.
It was very good. I can't give it a perfect score because it was so obvious.
Yeah.
And like,
Well, that's the kids show in it.
Yeah,
I know.
that's more of a
I get
kid.
that.
No.
but I will say, like, it did not hit me like Ned Stark stuff.
Mhm.
Like that one, I was like, they can't kill him. They can't kill him. And then, spoiler alert, he gets beheaded. If you did not watch season 1 of Game of Thrones, I don't know what to do with you. You're gonna have to watch it. It's a rule.
Yeah.
And then for the second episode, like a 5. I can't. I can't with the wolves. I swear.
I
Okay.
can't wait
They're the death
for you to get
movie.
more of what the wolves are about.
Yeah.
Do they start talking faster? Because I can't.
They can't. I mean, they don't have the capacity to do it.
Well, all right. Well, I don't know.
But what they're doing becomes more apparent.
What they're doing is eating up my Star Wars minutes. That's what they're doing.
Thank God they are.
I have no empathy for these wolves. Also, they're very fickle. They keep like changing their minds. They're like,
Are
I'm
they?
snarling at Ezra. I'm not snarling at Ezra. I'm gonna what I can't.
Well, they are animals too. Like they're not tame and they're sentient, but they're definitely going off of instinct and something else.
Yes.
Okay, well,
Yeah, no, we
We
can't.
will
No, we can't.
find out.
We
we
can't do more
can't
Colleen. We
tell
can't
you
tell
that,
more.
but
we
there
will
is a
find out
reason.
more next week.
There is a reason for what the Loth Wolves are doing.
Okay, deal. I'll believe you. That's it. Those are my takes.
Woo!
All right.
I like it. I only teared up once, everyone.
Yeah, that's fine. You were fine. You're strong. You're all good.
Okay, everybody, we're gonna head into our next holocron, which is the 6th holocron conjecture at the Cantina. This is where we ask your questions about the episode and explore some wider Star Wars lore together. I will get us started with what did Dave Filoni and Krill have to say about these episodes? Well, I'm just gonna cry again. It's fine.
Don't cry.
We need to go over Jedi Night and Dume. Filoni said that Kanan cutting off his hair and shaving was a purification ritual, that he knows this moment is transitional for him. Doesn't necessarily know that he's going to die, but he's preparing for that possibility. But Freddie Prinze Jr. was really adamant from the beginning that Kanan had to die by the end of Rebels, that it was what the story needed. So pulling a Harrison Ford right here, being like, you need to kill off my character. I think for different reasons than Harrison Ford wanted Han Solo killed off, but still. They were also really secretive about the voice cast acting for this episode. He took away the last 2 pages and waited for them to get done with everything and then took them all aside and had a talk with them about what was going to happen. And as they all started to realize that Freddie wouldn't be with them anymore recording, they all started crying and getting really emotional. It was like, Dave Filoni, you're such a dick. So he got very strong reactions out of them because he held back the information.
Mm-hmm.
But-
So I got a question.
No, I don't know that Kanan had to die.
So
The
okay, so this
master always
gets
dies.
into one of my kind of points here. Number one, so this for me was like I kind of had forgotten at this point, the first time I watched the series, because you get invested in these characters and you start to want to root. You really want to root for them. You want everything to turn out okay.
Mhm.
And then it kind of hit me, like, this is when it hit me, like, I was like, wait, so this takes place before A New Hope.
Mhm.
And by the time we get to Empire, Yoda has to be like technically right that Luke is going to be the last of the Jedi. So don't know if Kanan and Ezra can make it out of this.
Right.
Yeah.
In the traditional sense of making it out of the situation.
I mean, that's how we felt about Rogue One, right? Like, we knew that Rogue One had to end poorly.
Yeah, it has to end poorly for these people.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't give people hope, but
Rebellions are built on hope.
exactly.
Yeah.
My other question about this now, talking again about the hair, and so Kanan has kind of come back as a Loth Wolf. At least it is working through him. If Kanan comes back as a Force ghost, does he get his hair back?
I mean, I'm not going to say what I have to say about the next episode.
And then, we
But
talked
you
earlier.
should. I mean, they should always put the hottest version of you as your ghost.
Yeah.
Like, we
The
got
idealized
Hayden
version of yourself.
as the ghost.
Mhm. All right. Next up, we talked about the music already, but I do want to shout out the music credits for this because there were actually several. There was scoring mixer Mark Evans, the theme composer Kevin Kiner, music assistant Kevin Fullman, and then there were 4 people credited as additional composers. So credit to Reuven Herman, Dean Keener, Sean Keener, and David G. Russell for all of that music for Jedi Night.
A lot of Kiners in there.
Yeah, a lot of Kiners or Keeners. I'm not sure how to. It's probably Kiner. You're right. Colleen, this one's kind of more directed at you. So Thrawn leaves during Jedi Night, and that actually he leaves for the events of Thrawn Treason.
Yep.
Which is a novel that Flo has not read.
Unless he's fucking half the galaxy, I'm really not interested.
And he's got, and Tarkin is like, should we fund the Defender Project or Krennic's project, Project Stardust, which is obviously the Death Star. So if we're at that point, does that make this too early for the Protocol 13 evacuation to have been Jeddah? Because if the Death Star's at the point where it's doing full test firings, does that mean that funding's not a question anymore at that point? It's done.
I think they're all very much dominoes stacked to fall over at this point. I know this is happening in 0. So it's before the Battle of Yavin 0. This is all happening very much close together.
Kind of very in sync.
Is closer to the a beginning of the year maybe, and then as things go on towards A New Hope, it gets just closer and closer together. I still think it's Jeddah, just because we really don't have a sense of the timing on when Jeddah gets destroyed and when they get to the Rebel Council. So I think it still could be within that time frame. Shit is happening really fast at the end of Rebels.
Yeah,
we're used to it being more drawn out, but this last chunk of episodes is all hitting really close.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say.
All right, and then I just kind of wanted to take a chance here to highlight. I mean, Flo is not too happy about it, but we are getting a chance here to get into the kind of the mysticism of the Force. The Force is doing things that we've never seen before, and it's actually happening from the light side. So I wanted to take a second, go back and think about the way the animated series have kind of expanded the understanding of things the Force can do, and not just by Jedi and Sith. One of the biggest elements of the Clone Wars series were the Night Sisters, those dark side Force witches.
Sexy witches.
Those sexy witches who gave Maul his regular mechanical legs, not the scorpion ones. They fixed his regular ones.
Oil can.
He certainly
but they also managed to do things like they enhanced Savage Opress. They turned him from a skinny little weakling into an absolute jacked killing machine via dark side magic. These are the
This is really
same.
rude.
These are the same witches, Flo, that like possessed Sabine and Kanan back
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
Dathomir and all
Sorry,
that
I'm
stuff.
just laughing because every time I hear Savage Opress, I just imagine how great a drag name that would be. And I'm just like
Yes.
obsessed with it.
He
Like,
has got big drag energy too.
I mean,
Savage does.
that is a drag name. I don't even know how you could see it any other way. Sorry, I was just laughing in my own head about that.
That's fine. But here we actually do see some of like the kind of magic, quote unquote, that the light side is capable of with the Loth Wolves. Like we saw the Force Walk last time. And, you know, Flo may hate the scene, but I love the way that sky looks when Ezra's having that like dream. It's got like the purple swirls and everything just looks absolutely gorgeous. Plus, I mean,
Look.
the wolf it's speaking in single words, and yes, that is frustrating, but it is speaking basic.
I like the sky. The sky is beautiful. I don't disagree with the sky. The sky is great. Can we instead have Force Ghost Kanan being like, yo, here's the download, instead of like, first of all, as soon as like he was like on this hill, right? He like, and then he started like toppling and I got nauseous. And I was like, this is the scariest thing ever. Like he's just tripping balls in a field by himself, surrounded by wolves. Then all of a sudden he's on this like crazy moonscape with wolves and he's falling off of it. No, thank you. I'd rather not be a Jedi if that's what that means.
He can't, well, I mean, most Jedi can't be Force ghosts, or they haven't learned how to do it. So at this point, only Qui-Gon and Yoda know how to do it.
And even then,
What do you-
Yoda's
what do you
still
have to
kind of
do?
like in training, and he's
Yeah,
got
Yoda's
Obi-Wan
still
in
iffy.
training for
Iffy
it.
on the technique. Qui-Gon was the first one to do it.
Yeah, Qui-Gon
Okay.
figured out how to do it. And it's also, I like to think of it also as like it's the Force being bigger than just the Jedi. Like this is something more. This is like literally the planet Lothal is actually kind of reaching out to.
Ezra, yeah.
And I like all that. I don't have an issue with that. The issue is
The
that it
voice.
takes him 10 minutes to get out barely a fragment.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I can't.
He does have some big Yoda energy.
Yeah, he does.
He's got some big Bendu energy. It's fucking worse.
He will be much more.
He's directly
painful
trying to
than Bendu.
intervene. He is directly trying to
That's
intervene.
fair. That's fair. At least he's doing something. I fully agree with that. But on the flip side, Bendu spoke in complete sentences.
Yes, he was
Yes.
able to do that for sure.
So, no.
All right, guys. Well, I think that is going to wrap it up for us today. Tune in next time as we continue our season 4 coverage. Again, no sneak peeks, even though Flo's already got halfway there.
Wait.
We are getting way too close to the end here to risk any spoilers. But until next time, follow us wherever you get your podcast. Leave us those 5-star reviews. Check out our website at bohemiangeekstudies.com, where you can watch all of our episodes. Enjoy Colleen's Book Corner, where she reviews Star Wars literature, and contact us through email and social media. And as always, keep telling other Nerdy Knights to come and join us. It really does help. You can also head over to ForgottenEntertainment.com, check out all the offerings in the Forgotten Entertainment family, including yet another Star Wars podcast where we examine different facets of Star Wars canon. And we are currently making our way through the newly released Star Wars Visions. Until next time, lightsabers up and keep those episodes streaming. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Gotta pour out a whole
Bye.
freaking glass for Kanan.